I get to bang the gavel. Oh, that's loud. Don't usually get to do that. Welcome everyone to the January 23rd Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. I'll go ahead and call roll. We have 4 new members this evening. Please just stay present when I call your name. Mr. Bunkfest.
Present.
Dr. Keene.
Present.
Mr. Clarino.
Here.
Mr. Plummer.
Here.
Mr. Bowler.
Here.
We have a quorum. The next item of business is announce any changes to the agenda. There are no changes to the agenda. And so we'll move to the election of officers. And so in this case, we will have, someone will nominate a president, and then there will be a second, and then a vote. Ditto for vice president, and then pro temp. So
I'll make a nomination for Dr. Keene to be our next president.
I'll second that.
all right, we have a vote and a second. So to have Dr. Keene as president of the BZA. Mr. Bunkfest.
Yes.
Dr. Keene. Mr. Clarino.
Yes.
Mr. Plummer. Yes. Mr. Buller.
Yes.
Congratulations, Dr. Keene. Yep, so now the reins are yours.
Okay, so we need a vice president then? Okay, so I open the floor for nominations for vice president. Everybody, don't step back.
So I guess just for background, this would, in the event that Dr. Keene is unable to be at the meeting, you would be running the meeting at that point. Okay, we have a nomination for Billy Bunkfest as the vice president. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we'll do roll call. Mr. Bunkfest?
Yes.
Dr. Keene?
Yes.
Mr. Clarino?
Yes.
Mr. Plummer?
Yes.
Mr. Buller?
Yes.
Congratulations, Billy. You are vice president. And last, we have the pro temp position.
We have, pardon me? Approval of
President pro
minutes?
temp. So the third in line, basically.
Okay. Who wants to be third in line?
Buller?
It'll probably be, you guys will all be out with COVID, and then I'll have to do it.
Yeah.
I'll nominate myself.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Mr. Bunkfest?
Yes.
Dr. Keene?
Yes.
Mr. Clarino?
Yes.
Mr. Plummer?
Yes.
Mr. Buller?
Yes.
All right, all 3 are set. All right, so now we're to the minutes.
I hope everyone has had a chance to review the minutes, but I'm going to tell you, I think 4 of us were not here, so we're going to rely upon Jeff to make sure these minutes are accurate. So if they are, we'll take a motion, Jeff.
I have reviewed the minutes, and I believe that they are accurate.
I have a motion for approval of the minutes for December 12th, 2023.
I will make the motion to approve the minutes of December 12, 23.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We'll do this by voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So review the rules and procedures of the BZA.
Yep. Of course, I put those away. No, I don't have them memorized. I think it's 2 pages. All right. For all petitions, tonight's meeting has the following structure. The department will summarize the petition and describe what action, if any, is necessary to be taken. Then the petitioner will be given up to 15 minutes to present to the board. The president will open a public hearing, and individuals will be given 3 minutes to speak. Those representing a group will be given 5 minutes to speak. Only one member of the group will be given 5 minutes to speak, and for efficiency purposes, we ask that those representing a group speak first. The public hearing will be closed when all interested members of the audience have had a chance to be heard and all emails received during the meeting have been provided to board members. The petitioner will then have a chance to respond to comments, and the board will follow with any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the petition. Please do not disrupt the proceedings in any way, and if you need to have a private discussion, we ask that you please quietly exit the room. Please silence your devices at this time. If you must answer them, then please quietly exit the room. If you are attending in person and wish to speak in regards to a petition scheduled for a public hearing, once the public hearing is opened by the president, please approach the podium and write your name and address on the sign-in sheet next to Kevin. If you are not attending in person, comments may be emailed to planners@westfield.in.gov with the petition name or number included in the subject line. Those comments will be forwarded to board members and the petitioner. During your comments, please state your name and address into the microphone for the record. We ask that you not repeat previously stated comments. Your presentation will be timed, and you will be advised when there is approximately 30 seconds remaining. We would like to remind everyone to please speak directly into the microphone so your comments can be put onto the record. Thank you.
So now we'll move to items of business. Item number 1 is the adoption of findings of fact. I believe this is a carryover, so Dane, if you want to go ahead and explain this to us.
Sure. Good evening, members of the board. For the record, Dane Crabtree with the Community Development Department. This item before you is the adoption of the findings of fact for petition 2312-VU13, which was a proposed variance of use at 140 East 161st Street that would permit a construction trade office in the AG SF1 zoning district. This petition was denied by the board. Staff has worked with our legal team to come up with the findings presented to you this evening in the staff report, and they are eligible for adoption this evening. If you have any questions for myself or legal before voting, please let me know.
So I need a motion to approve the findings of fact.
Motion to approve the findings of fact.
Jason makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Jeff seconds that. Okay, now discussion. Any discussion on this? Roll call vote.
Mr. Bunkfist,
Yes.
Mr. Buller,
Yes.
Mr. Clarino,
Yes.
Mr. Plummer,
Yes.
and Dr. Keen.
Yes.
Findings of fact are adopted.
Next item is a continued item from last time, and Ryan, if you want to go ahead and make your presentation.
Yep, thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, members of the board. For the record, Ryan Collingwood with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening is a continuance of a variance of development standard request for 15868 Nocturne Drive in the Davis Plan Unit Development District within the Serenade neighborhood. The request is to encroach 8 feet into the 20-foot minimum rear yard setback to accommodate a pool and deck. To provide some additional context, this item was initially in front of the BZA at its December meeting. The item was continued to tonight's meeting due to neighbor remonstrance, where the board recommended the petitioner further communicate with the neighbors while the item was continued from December's meeting to today. This item has been properly noticed and advertised, and the department received 3 initial public comments. In addition, we received an additional public comment this week, in which has been included in the public comment exhibit I should have distributed to all of you. The petitioner is present this evening to give a brief update, after which they will be available for additional questions. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I'm Ross Klosterhuis. I was attending the meeting last month. I have some packets. I don't know. I only have 5, so do you want me to pass them out?
That'd be fine.
Okay. Literally had to do this last minute. So I was communicating with the homeowners and the neighbors this morning, revising the design, sending back and forth. And I was actually still waiting to hear on a final say from Mark, the neighbor next door. So, but anyways, this is the original plan that we had last month, and this was encroaching 8 feet into the rear setback. The updated plan, if you open up your plans, I guess I didn't. That plan right there, do you want me to take one packet so I can show you guys?
Yep.
So this plan with showing the retaining wall and the steps on the side of the property and the plan that has the pool perpendicular to the house. This is the plan that we can build within the easement with the pool. This is one of the options, and I've discussed with both the neighbors and the homeowner. The homeowners really don't want to do this layout at all. And I explained, and I actually knocked on the door of the neighbor's house and spoke with Doug. I did not speak with Mark, who was sending the emails, but I spoke with Doug. And we discussed a layout that they would be okay with, because I explained to them the drainage potential issue there. They already have an existing issue with, they've lost multiple trees on that side of the property, so it's already sopping wet. And I explained to them how building this wall here, we'd have to redirect that drainage, and it could potentially cause more of an issue. Doug kind of agreed with me and saw that, what I was trying to explain to them. They just didn't like how, they wanted it set within the easement, and they didn't like how it was within their vision. Their upper patio is right about here, looking down on that pool. So we discussed moving the pool to the back to the original location, but moving it towards and directly in the back of the house. So this plan right here. This is the plan we're looking to get approved. Now it is encroaching even further in the back patio, in the back easement. But they were okay with not having it visible from their back patio right there, because at the angle of their house, we're using this house and the trees to block their view from this direction. But I still haven't heard final word from him. I brought an email correspondence we've been having. He listed out a few questions that he would be okay with agreeing to. So the questions were, will there be a perimeter drain installed between our property line and Arcowie's property line? With this assurance, I will most definitely contest the design. So if I've already told him in my response that we'll put a drain there, we can just put a French drain and direct the water towards the back side of their property. And we can slope part of theirs into that drainage. So I don't think there's an issue there. And he said, what is the actual distance from the side of their yard? He listed different measurements, and I explained to him the measurements to the side of the property. And he asked if there was a fence that was going to be built. We're just doing an automatic cover right now. That's going to happen in the future. And he asked, you were proposing using emerald green, so he just asked the size of those plants, and I told him they're a medium-sized plant, so they're not going to impede his view. So, and we're not having those trees encroach in that 20-foot setback. So unfortunately, I don't have, he said that, he said he's gonna contest the submission if we're not in line with these questions. And I already responded to his email saying that we already kind of are, but I haven't heard back from him. The Arcowies are basically at the point where if they can't do it this way, or potentially the way they had it where it was a 8-foot setback, then they probably just don't even want to do it. So, and I tried to meet with both altogether, and that they didn't really agree to that.
Are there any questions from members of the?
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
So what are the species of trees that are on the, is that the west side? Is it planned north on the drawing?
It's a emerald green arborvitae. It's not like a giant arborvitae where they get 40 feet tall. They're more of a medium-sized evergreen shrub, tree shrub, I should say. And I also, in your guys' packet, gave you a couple other options that I showed the Arcowies that it doesn't matter because they didn't like it at all, so,
Can I ask one more question?
yep.
Is there a reason on the, this drawing, which is dated January 5th, that those trees can't shift further north on the drawing?
They
Issue
can.
Screening, I mean, is that something that would help the neighbors' concerns about the sightlines to the pool?
So I shifted them back because originally I showed them encroaching on the easement, and I met with them, and I was standing out in his back patio, and we saw where the line is, so we already discussed moving him back, just so it doesn't impede their view of the pond area.
Are there any other questions from members? Ryan, is the staff aware of these proposed changes or any of this discussion?
Yeah, so I received this site plan a couple hours ago at this point, so I wasn't able to submit the updated landscape plan to the, attached to the agenda such as this one. So this is the old plan that was originally submitted at the December meeting. And I think, according to Ross, you distributed updated plans to each of the members.
So this one right here is the one we're trying to get. Right here. Right.
Okay.
And I can mark this for approval.
It's not.
How far in the setback is this?
So the updated plan is about 14 feet into the setback.
So you're 14 feet into a 20-foot setback.
Yep, and so originally it was 8 foot, but the difference is we've shifted it behind the house directly. So the way that the neighbor's house is angled, it's not kind of in line with their view. So that was, they weren't, I would say they're 50-50 in terms of opposed or.
It's not what's in front of us tonight.
Like I said, I still haven't heard back from him. He responded to all my attempts to reach out and discuss this over the last few weeks, last weekend, and then we were discussing it this morning. So it hasn't been very communicative.
Unless our veteran member, or perhaps staff can advise, I mean, line of sight's one thing, but wasn't encroachment on that setback like the main concern we've been reading comments on?
Well, so a couple of things. The encroachment into the setback was a concern, but the concerns primarily from the neighbors were based on that setback, things that would happen because the encroachment was occurring. But I will say, unfortunately, because this new diagram shows a encroachment that is more severe than what was originally noticed, that cannot be approved without an additional public hearing.
Right.
It could be less. You could always notice for something an encroachment of 8 feet and then get approval for 5 feet, but you could not have a public hearing for an 8-foot encroachment and then be granted a 14-foot encroachment without an additional public hearing. So if they do want that design, it's possible, but we'd have to continue another month and have another public hearing.
Okay. So, I mean, it's.
Yeah, this
So
design would still be okay because this is what was originally noticed for.
So, just because I'm the middle person and pretty much, so, it's hard for me to get answers, that I wish I could have. Can I come back after taking your guys' questions to them, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we can continue this for another month and then come to the February BZA meeting knowing what you know now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we won't, but we will have another public hearing because
Yeah.
I don't
Have to
hear,
revise
I don't listen to neighbors through the petitioner. I want the neighbors to have the ability to say something.
Well, yes, and that's accurate. So,
Well, that's why I'm trying to also get documented, verbiage and email correspondences, because I've tried to, meet with everyone together, but that hasn't happened. So I'm trying to take that, to you guys so we can look to get approval or disapproval.
So do you want to request a continuance of this until the next month's meetings so that we can have a public hearing?
Probably it'll either be, I'll get it approved in the middle of the month, or we'll probably won't see you guys again. So, one or the other.
so the earliest this could be approved is subsequent to the next BZA meeting, and if that encroachment is greater. If it turns out that this is the plan you go with and it's still only an 8-foot encroachment, you don't need to have another public hearing. The only case where you need to have another public hearing is if the encroachment is more severe.
So if, let's say we revert back to this plan and we could get approval before the next hearing? Or?
In theory, that could be voted on this evening, and but the problem is anything that the board approves tonight would be tied to a specific site plan.
Okay.
And substantial compliance, this one.
Okay.
So if we were to approve something tonight, it would be this one right here, because this is the only one we have.
Can I take that with me though? Like, just so when I'm talking with everyone?
Oh, sure, I mean, if this is the intent
Yeah.
that the petitioner would like done, then yeah, this is what you could show to neighbors and the petitioner as long as they're okay with this design.
Okay.
But
But if it's anything different than that, you have to re-notice the public hearing.
Right, okay. Gotcha.
Right.
No, I'm just basically asking if I get them to approve that plan, we can just go forward with that plan. Yeah, and the neighbors.
For the record, if you're saying if the neighbors are in agreement with the new plan, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Or then
Yeah.
you would come back.
Yep. What if they agreed to that plan?
If they
I
agreed to
got them
this plan, you can, I mean, I don't know.
We don't have to-
We're not taking action tonight, doesn't sound like.
No, but if they
So
agree to
they-
this plan, we would not have to have another public hearing because
that's
the
what I'm
original
asking.
request is the
Okay.
same.
But you would still need to come to the February meeting to get,
To
for
get
the
approval
board
from the
to
board.
take action.
Okay,
Doesn't sound like we are taking action tonight.
okay, alrighty. That sounds good.
So are you, just for the record again, are you requesting to continue this another month?
Yes.
Okay.
And
All right.
just, again, for the record, that'll be February 13th, is that right?
That sounds
Yeah.
right.
So that's actually 3 weeks from
Okay.
today, not the normal 4.
That's fine. That's perfect.
All right.
Alrighty, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Sorry about that. Do you want this? These are all. the emails.
great.
You want these back?
You can keep them. I don't.
I mean, you might want to give them to the neighbor.
No, I got plenty. I'm killing too many trees. I'm just like, we'll see you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, on the new items, which will all require a public hearing, I believe. So item 2401-VS-01, the Spring Mill Point Aldi. Dane, you're the point person.
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, Dane Crabtree with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening here is a request for variances of development standard for relief from building and roof line modulations for a proposed 20,000 square foot grocery store in the Spring Mill Point PUD district. The petitioner is requesting to modify building modulation requirements for 2 projections on the east facade. These 2 shown here. These would be 2 feet in depth rather than the otherwise required 4 feet in depth. And additionally, the petitioner is requesting relief from roofline modulation requirements for the south and west facades. So otherwise, they would be required to have modulation for the roof here and somewhere else on this plane. Kaio Takumayo with SGA Design is present virtually this evening to make a brief presentation. If the board is inclined to approve the variances, conditions of approval are detailed in the staff report that would require substantial compliance with the building elevations presented. Kaio, are you there?
Yes, I am. can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Great, great. And before we begin, I think it's just so nice to introduce the team. I'd imagine our Aldi representative, John McLean, is in attendance. I can't see the
Yeah,
camera from.
yeah, they're here. If you would, if that would be easier to make a presentation, or did you want to present anything in addition to Kaio? Okay. Okay. Okay, you can proceed, Kaio.
Oh, okay, thank you. So today we are asking a variance on 2 points. And I believe you have an aerial view of these two.
Yep.
That might tell the story a little bit better. So we would like to show, yeah, aerial probably is the best. Yeah, that one second from the bottom. We would like to ask for an appeal on the building modulation requirement. As Dane just said, there are two projections on the east facade, and we are, yeah, but that's where the cursors are. We're proposing to keep them as 2 feet as opposed to 4 feet, and the reason being, you can't really see the plan layout from there, but that is backing in the inside. That's backing up to gondolas where the merchandise are displayed, and that just becomes a dead space behind the gondolas. And then deeper the projection is, you can imagine the moisture wicking and all that situation would be more grave. So we need to vent the space, and plus it's going to be inaccessible. So every time something happens, the associate has to move the gondolas and sometimes the reaching freezer and cooler cases. So it just seems a lot of hassle for the extra 2 feet. And also there's construction cost and labor associated with that increased depth. You can sort of tell even in the aerial view that the bottom wainscoting is masonry, so that's a deeper foundation, and the mason has to lay masonry more so than 2 feet. And above, that's a fiber cement panel. That's an accent throughout the building, and we'll be just using a lot more material in time. So our stance is that we believe we're meeting the intent of the ordinance by having the sufficient projections and accents on this facade. So we're hoping that the board would agree with us and let them be only at 2 feet. So that's the first one. And second one is the roof modulation. We would like to ask, let's see, this one. Yeah, that view is probably okay. We would like to ask if we can keep the roof line as we're showing right now, with a very predominant sloped entry, and the rest sort of cascade down, and of course there are the fiber cement panel accents, as we just talked about, popping around throughout the perimeter. But we were talking about this with Dane. If we go by the letters of the ordinance, we're required to put, oh, thank you. We're required to put something else that modulates the roof on that side elevation where the cursor is. And that seems very peculiar. And, well, one, aesthetically, we try to play around, blocking out this sketch and that sketch. It just didn't look quite right. It creates very odd tension, especially in a dark area. And also, Westfield is very prone to snow, and adding another almost freestanding wall that would create more trapping, basically, of snow load, wind uplift portion, all of that. So many factors involved. So that just adds the cost of the project pretty significantly. So that's why we are here, to see if the board would agree with us that roof modulation, the intent of the ordinance is met, because we have an accent at the tower, and the fiber cement panels around the perimeter are very much working with the tower. That's all I got.
All right, thank you.
Do any members of BZA have questions?
Yeah, I
Jason?
guess I have just a couple questions. You said fiber cement, and it looks like everything is masonry, right? With a wainscot at the base, and then, is that right?
No, yes, I did say fiber cement, you heard it right. That dark brown that you see, that is a fiber cement panel, and many people refer it as a Nichiha panel, and that's a name of a company, it's a Japanese company. It's basically an abbreviation of some, longer Japanese word. But a lot of retailers use them these days. Everybody might be familiar with the new look of Wendy's, and I think Panda Express, Taco Bell, most of them are using the same fiber cement panel.
Oh, that's
It's a simulated panel, and Aldi's brand happens to choose this. Yeah, you can kind of see the detail there. Choose this texture that simulates wood board.
Hey,
So
Kyle.
this is not the brown, is not the masonry.
Yeah.
Kyle, this is John. We did switch to full masonry at this store.
Because that's what the elevation shows. It says full masonry. That's why I was
Yeah,
confused on
our
G.
prototype is Nichiha.
Okay.
Due to the requirements,
Okay.
we did switch this to
Okay.
full masonry. Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry for the
Sorry,
confusion,
thank you.
Kyle.
Did you have another question, Jason? Nope. Other questions?
Is this building pretty much in the standard that Aldi uses when they do buildings?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's the most recent we've done around here would be Speedway. So very similar look to that. That one does use, as Kyle was mentioning, the Nichiha panels on those darker features. So this one, due to the requirements of the 32 overlay district, will have full masonry. So we're using a different colored brick instead of those Nichiha panels. And those panels on our prototype only project a few inches. So we have modified that, as Dane mentioned, as Kyle mentioned, to 2 feet projections on the front of the store. And then we are achieving that 4-foot projection on the back side of the store, which is not part of the prototype, but we've incorporated it here. We've also added a couple other design elements. The windows on the back wall are not prototypical, but we've added those as well as the awnings to dress up that backside.
Any other questions? We have no other questions?
All right.
Yes. So we will now open the public hearing for comments. And this is being live streamed, so we'll leave it open a little bit in case we have somebody who's watching this who would submit a text or email message. So it's open public hearing at 7:34.
If there's anyone here that wants to speak on this petition, please come forth and write your name on the sign sheet next to Kevin.
Go ahead and close the public hearing, 7:36. So now, I assume now this is forwarded to, or put on the agenda then next month for approval, or not?
No, now they can have any additional questions that you may have. Oh, sorry. Any additional questions you may have for the petitioner, but if the board is comfortable with the presentations, there are recommended conditions within the staff report that you can vote to approve this petition with those recommended conditions that are recommended. You can alter from those conditions. They're just staff recommended conditions. Or you can vote to continue it, however, but you can take action on this now.
We can't take action
Yes.
now?
Yes.
If we want to take action now, the procedure I'd like to use is every item, I will ask for approval. That doesn't mean a yes vote. So if we have something we don't like, we'll still ask for approval to get it up for our discussion purposes, then we'll take the vote. So I'm going to ask for a motion on the Spring Mill Point Aldi request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Anyway, a motion and a second, so now any discussion from members of the BZA? Seeing no discussion, can we have a roll call vote, please, on the motion?
Okay, Mr. President, can I verify that this is with the two recommended conditions within the staff report?
You want me to
Yeah,
just do
if you
it?
could.
So I'll make a recommendation that we approve 2401-VS-01 Spring Mill Point Aldi with the following recommended conditions of approval. One, that the development of the property utilizing the variances requested within docket 2401-VS-01 shall be developed in substantial compliance with Exhibit 4. And two, that the petitioner shall record an acknowledgement of this approval with the Hamilton County Recorder's Office and return a copy of the recorded instrument to the Community Development Department.
Okay, so that's the motion, now we second.
I'll second.
All right, so a second. Now, any discussion? No discussion, roll call vote.
Mr. Clarino,
Yes.
Mr. Plummer,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkfist,
Yes.
Dr. Keen,
Yes.
Mr. Buller.
Yes.
Motion carries. And now we'll have a vote to adopt staff's findings of fact located within the staff report, wherever that is. There. So,
Okay. Next item.
well,
Oh, no.
we need to vote on
We need
the
to-
findings
We
of
need
fact.
to, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'll make
You're okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the staff's findings of fact.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Motion by Jeff, who was second? Is that Jake?
Roll call vote?
Okay. Mr. Clarino,
Yes.
Mr. Plummer,
Yes.
Mr. Bunkfist,
Yes.
Dr. Keen,
Yes.
Mr. Buller.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you.
Ask the public to bear with us, there's 4 brand-new people on the BZA tonight. So, on to the next item, which also requires a public hearing, 2401-VU-01, Jersey, -2. This is Kite Realty. And Lauren, you are the point person on this.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Excuse me. For the record, Lauren Gillingham with the Community Development Department. The subject property is about 8.7 acres and is located at 2450 East 146th Street and in the Cool Creek Common Shopping Center. It's that parcel. So the petitioner requested a variance of development standards to permit a trash enclosure within the established front yard of 146th Street, essentially the area between the building's front facade and the right-of-way. During a review, during a Kite Realty review, it was determined that the enclosure located behind the strip center, where it's currently located, posed, some sort of safety hazard and needed to be moved. After reviewing the site, the applicant believes the requested location to be the best option for both tenants and customers, and that although it's in a non-permitted location, it will actually be more screened in the non-permitted location than if it were placed in a permitted area somewhere in the parking lot. Given the proximity to the fire hydrant, Westfield Fire Department has been involved in the review and is satisfied with the location, as long as the enclosure has some kind of directional signage pointing first responders to the other side of the enclosure to the hydrant. This item requires a public hearing tonight and has been properly noticed and advertised. Staff has received no comments. The petitioner is here this evening and will provide a short presentation. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Petitioner?
Try this again. Great. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you all for being here. For the record, my name is Gene Byerman with Kite Realty Group. Offices at 30 South Meridian Street, Indianapolis, Indiana, Suite 1100. As Lauren mentioned, we're here to present a variance request for the placement of a trash enclosure within the front yard setback of Cool Creek Commons at 146th and Oak Street. A little bit of history on this center. Kite Realty Group constructed and has operated this center since 2005, so nearing on 20 years now. As Westfield has grown and evolved, so has this center. We're really pleased with this center. It's a high-performing center. We love it. We want to continue to allow it to grow. And frankly, it's one of our highest performing centers in the donut counties here. Now, over the past few years, we've identified some issues with the trash, specifically on the west side of the site, the inline shops there. And I don't know if I can drive this here. I'll zoom out a little bit here to try to illustrate. Maybe not. Excuse me one moment. So there is an existing trash enclosure on the west side of the site here. I'll try to zoom in a little bit more. This has two major issues with it currently. The primary one is, or I should say the first one is it's undersized. Right now the enclosure is a small wood enclosure. We can only get one dumpster in there. It's way undersized for this, the usage that we have on the west side of the center. We also have a second dumpster, which is free floating, which nobody wants, ourselves included. The second issue that we have with it right now is more of a safety issue. We have delivery trucks, we have staff coming to drop trash off, and we have trash trucks that are all crossing each other at the same time. It's also on the edge of a corner here, which is a hazard in our opinion. So what we're proposing is to add two new trash enclosures. The first one would be on the north. This one is not within the setback, so it's not an issue with zoning code. The second one would be to the south. This is just barely in the front yard setback. We've worked closely with planning to make sure that their needs and the city's needs, and as Lauren mentioned, the fire department's needs are met. I will make a couple notes with the enclosures that we are putting in. We would be placing masonry enclosures to replace the existing wood enclosure. The existing wood enclosure does not meet current code. The masonry enclosures would be clad with a brick veneer to match the shopping center, which would be an altogether better look for these. Also, we're proposing some additional landscaping screening on the south, west, and east sides of the enclosure. We've included that material in our submittal package. I would also say, from an owner standpoint, having a dumpster in the front of the center isn't necessarily ideal. However, we've explored all our options. We've explored from a utility standpoint, from a safety standpoint, from a practicality standpoint. We think that this is the best solution to a problem we have. We think that this solution is the safest solution we could come up with. And also, it's going to make the center on the whole a cleaner and a better experience for the citizens of Westfield and for our shoppers. So, with that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions or any comments that the public or the board have about this proposal. Thank you.
Any questions for the petitioner?
So there's a tree line there now. So are you taking out some trees in order to put that there?
Correct. So there is one tree that without a doubt will be removed. There's another tree that I'd like to say that we're gonna save, but I think that in the practicality of construction with the root line of the tree, it's probably gonna go, which is why we are proposing to add new landscape trees.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because those trees have gotten pretty big.
What trees, what are you gonna put back?
So right now we have planned arborvitae, so about a 15+ foot maximum height. We have, I don't know the exact count, but 8 to 12 of them planned, as well as grasses and shrubs in the gaps.
Are the gates, I presume those gates will be locked so that they're not, that's one of the issues that we seem to notice over and over again, is that their doors are just open, and then it's not really a good solution because the trash is just overflowing into the
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a corporate initiative that we have beyond any code requirements or city requests, is automatic closing doors and with locks.
And crafters, I assume you've talked to them and they're okay with, you know, what you're proposing?
We have, yeah. It's a good solution for them for their trash service, so we haven't heard any objections from them on it.
Okay. I would request at some point there would be some additional parking over there, because the parking is horrible.
Okay, that's absolutely something we
I
can
don't know
look
where you're
into.
gonna put it. Maybe stack them on top of each other or something.
We can look at structured parking.
Any other questions, petitioner? Do we need to, there's 4 recommended conditions. Do we need to add a condition for additional landscaping to be put into that area? Is that in there? Exhibits? Okay,
Oh, wait a second.
okay. Ready?
Let's see.
Okay,
Wait, just
no questions. We will then proceed to the public hearing. Thank you.
If the board feels strongly about it, they could add a 5th condition to this, that the landscape plan provided as an exhibit this evening is also tied to the variance.
Okay. Now, if it's in there, I wouldn't need to add it. I just wanted.
It's not currently
not.
as a condition, but you can add it as a 5th condition. There are 4 conditions proposed in the staff report, and this could just be added as a 5th
Okay,
condition.
I'm seeing nodded heads. Let's go ahead and add that as a 5th condition, just to make sure we get more landscaping in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can just say that, so we would just say that the landscaping must adhere to.
Oh, is it exhibit 4? Oh, it is, okay, so, never mind, exhibit 4 is already, it's covered under exhibit 4, so yeah, you don't need to add a 5th one, okay. Anyway, public hearing.
Okay, let's move on to the public hearing. Open the public hearing at 7:50. No comments, I will close the public hearing at 7:52. So moving ahead, vote on this tonight? I would ask for a motion to approve with the conditions, so anyone want to do that?
So moved.
I'll second.
And that's approval with the conditions as.
Yeah,
it was
motion to
stated.
approve with conditions.
Okay, and there is a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Mr. Plummer,
Yes.
Mr. Buckfist,
Yes.
Dr. Keen,
Yes?
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Clarino,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you all.
Now
And then we'll-
moving to approval of findings of fact?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll need a motion to approve findings of fact?
I'll make a motion to approve the findings of facts, staff's findings of facts.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Plummer,
Yes.
Mr. Buckfist,
Yes.
Dr. Keen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Clarino.
Yes.
Findings of fact are adopted.
All right, on to the next item. We're on a public hearing, 2401-VU-01, 216 Jersey Street. Dane, you're this one too.
Yep. Good evening, members of the board. For the record, Dane Crabtree with the Community Development Department. The item before you this evening at present is a request to extend an existing variance of use which permits a professional office at 216 Jersey Street, which is zoned multifamily low density. The original variance was approved at the September 11th, 2018 BZA meeting and is now expired. The petitioner, Dave Sobzak, is seeking to extend the variance for an additional 5 years. If the BZA is uncomfortable with the length of the request, staff does suggest a 3-year term, which would expire December 31st, 2026, which is around the approximate time of the State Highway 32 construction project is projected to be finishing. My understanding is that Stacy Sobzak is present this evening. Would you like to give a brief presentation? You don't have to. Okay. Then in the event that the petitioner does not have a presentation, although she will be available for questions if you have any.
Any of the members have any questions of the petitioner? Stacy really was here early. She wants to speak.
I think she should.
No. Okay. No questions? Then I will open the public hearing. At 7:54, time is flying. Get the rhythm. Move these things along. Close the public hearing at 7:56. I will take a motion for approval on this.
I'll make a motion that we approve 2401-VU-01216 Jersey Street with the following recommended conditions. One, that the approval of this variance shall expire on December 31st, 2028. Two, that any request to extend the time limit for this variance shall be reviewed and approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals prior to December 31st, 2028. And three, that the petitioner shall record an acknowledgement of this approval with the Hamilton County Recorder's Office and return a copy of the recorded instrument to the Community Development Department.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote?
Mr. Buckfist,
Yes.
Dr. Keen,
Yes.
Mr. Bowler,
Yes.
Mr. Clarino,
Yes.
Mr. Plummer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I need to move on to approval of findings of fact. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve staff's findings of fact.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote?
Mr. Bunkfist?
Yes.
Dr. Keen?
Yes.
Mr. Bowler?
Yes.
Mr. Clarino?
Yes.
Mr. Plummer?
Yes.
Findings of fact are adopted.
And our last item requiring a public hearing, 2401-VU-02, 229 Mill Street, Civil and Environmental Consultants. So this is Weston.
Yep. So, good evening. Thank you, President, members of the board. For the record, Weston Rogers with the Community Development Department. The property is approximately 0.29 acres in size and is located at 229 Mill Street in the multifamily low-density zoning district. This is located just west of the Grand Junction Plaza. So as part of this request before you, the petitioner is requesting the following items. Number one, a variance of use to permit a sit-down restaurant and specialty restaurant on the property. And then number two, the petitioner is requesting variance of development standards to encroach into the minimum front yard building setback and to modify the maximum density, minimum living area, landscaping, architectural, and parking standards, all of which are to accommodate a proposed mixed-use building on the property. I just wanted to bring up that page 2 and 3 of the staff report tabulate each of the items to demonstrate what is currently permitted and what modifications are being requested by the petitioner. This item does require a public hearing this evening. This item has been properly noticed and advertised. As of 5 o'clock this evening, staff has received one public comment, which was shared with you in hard copy format. The petitioner is here this evening and plans on making a very brief presentation. Both the petitioner and staff are available for any questions. Thank you.
Petitioner presentation.
Good evening, gentlemen, lady. My name is Matt Fry. My wife and I own Bub's Burgers and Ice Cream, and I live at 305 Woodland Lane, Carmel. And we're here to talk about relocating a Bub's and building a building and hopefully doing a variance change as well as some zoning, some border talk. But I'm gonna let Sean, who's with with a consultant with civil and engineering, get on all that good stuff for you. So any questions for me before I turn it over to him? Thanks.
Turn it over and let's.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sean Jones. I'm with Civil and Environmental Engineering, located at 530 East Ohio Street, Suite G, downtown Indianapolis. So this development, we are proposing to provide a restaurant with three units for multifamily use above the restaurant. The variance that are requesting is for a variance of land use and for encroachment setbacks, specifically along Park Street. There's an encroachment of approximately 9 feet. 20 feet is the required setback for front setbacks. We are also requesting variances with the required parking for a restaurant use in this area, given the fact that the improvements around Mill Street with additional on-street parking and the neighboring park would promote for more of pedestrian use by walking or by bicycle. We are providing bicycle parking. And we do include one accessible space that is on site. So architecturally, this is an improvement with modulations, with the roof. The restaurant has a wraparound open air patio for parking and being engaged to the street to encourage use from the sidewalks. So given this area from the comp plan, and the understanding is that this is a transitional area that is more being transitioned into more of a semi-urban area. We think this would be highly appropriate for this area. Are there any questions?
Any questions, the petitioner? Was this the single lot? It's across from Nyla's, and then the wine places on the other side of this, in between. This was a single family house, and it was that lot?
Yes.
And you're going to put this building on how many parking places?
There's 4 total.
4? They're in the back, okay.
And are those reserved solely for residents? Is that the plan?
Yes.
Designed to do a lot of carry-out business. I have heard rumors that that might be the major focus of this, although it's in a restaurant area now.
Well, it's different from the one that's currently in Westfield at 31 and 32 there. So that's our fast casual concept. This is going to be modeled just like Carmel, Zionsville, and Bloomington, that there will be carry-out options as well. But yeah, the parking spots are 3, 1 for each apartment, and then a handicap for the restaurant. Okay. Bike parking along the sidewalk on the east side.
Does this take your access to your parking? Is this going to take away parking on the street right now?
It wouldn't take away from street parking, no. No, I was in the parking meeting last week with the city and members of the community that are on Park Street, and we talked about where parking's going and everything else. But no, this is in addition to, but strictly those 3 would be for the apartments, and then 1 handicap would be for the restaurant.
I'll tell you, something that concerns me in that whole area is parking. I mean,
absolutely.
We went to dinner there the other day and had to Uber over, and we live about a third of a mile away. And it took the Uber guy picking us up almost 10 minutes to get down Park Street to pick us up.
It was all congested, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the hot topic of the parking meeting last week. And now that the city's taking over the valet, they're working with a valet company that has, what I was witnessing, more experience, so they know how to handle that and eliminate a lot of that congestion. But right now, you have free parking at 229 Mill Street. I don't know if you knew that.
You have what?
I'm just kidding. That's where I park when I go to Nyla's or Italian House. But if you want to park there for temporary, you can.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, frankly, but
it's this property. It's this property.
It's the property. Oh, okay.
No, but I know what you're meaning with the congestion down Park.
Okay.
I'm kind of lobbying to widen Park Street, to be honest with you, with some people.
Yeah, that would be terrific, but we'd have to probably move your building. Because you're right at 0 lot line here.
Well, this is the time to do it. We can adjust. But primarily, it's the use variances. Is that and the encroachment part too, but.
So tell me about service for deliveries. I mean, obviously the carryout is just going to be one of those 4 spaces, is that right? On the north side?
Well, there's tables out front under the covered patio. The main entrance will be on the south side of the building. The ice cream entrance is on the east side of the building. So when you walk in from the east side, that's the ice cream shop directly to the left. And then when you walk in from the south side, there's more detail in the drawings, but that's where the host stand and the POS counter will be.
The 3 parking spaces to the north are reserved for the tenants of the multifamily portion
Correct.
only, correct? And
Correct.
The general public could not park in those 3 spots?
Correct.
Only the handicap one?
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
How much seating do you have total?
Approximately 50, 55 to 65 to seat. Inside.
And how many outside?
Well, there's 3, 6, 8 tables of 4, so 32.
So 80 some,
Sure. Yeah, the building itself
or 30
downstairs
cars.
is
30 to 40 cars at max capacity.
Just another point of clarification. So the driveway on the north side of the lot, that's an existing driveway to the
Yeah.
house today, right? So the on-street parking in front of the house on Mill Street already is reserved, it looks like, for 2 spaces. That's not being altered by this proposal. And the space in front of the driveway on Mill Street is striped for no parking. So we're not losing any spaces by this layout.
We're not losing any spaces, we're just adding demand for about 30 more.
That's correct.
And that's,
But, well,
it's also the hope, is to bring people downtown.
Well, there are plans currently on the north side of Park Street, or on the south side of Park Street. There's plans of someone who's purchased land that's now gonna be gravelled for parking.
Be right there on the corner.
I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's kind of in the works. So
How many
additional
years-
parking's coming.
Yeah,
There's
how
no
many
doubt. I
years
wouldn't
will
be
that
doing
be?
this right now if that wasn't happening. I can assure you of that.
and being a downtown location, I mean, there is, again, kind of the hope that people are coming downtown for multiple things, right? They're not, ideally, not just coming down for one stop. So they're parking somewhere, they're hitting multiple different places. Maybe they're going to the plaza, maybe they're going to a restaurant, maybe they're going to a show up the street. So like any downtown, you're parking and then, you know, walking or whatever to get around. So that's what we're trying to create here.
And there was talk about possible 2-hour parking along Park too. And that's discussed.
Any other questions?
Do you have any of your other buildings that have residential above them?
I do, in Bloomington.
Okay,
And there's only nine spots in front of that building. And when the city put meters up, that caused a lot of chatter, but they still came. People find a way.
oh, sure,
It's challenging, but yeah, there's 2 apartments above our building in Bloomington.
okay. Is there a reason you decided to do that, or just,
Well, it's a hot spot.
yeah,
And my son lived there for a year when he was out of school and he loved it.
yeah,
So the demand's there and the
Gotcha.
opportunity's there, yeah. Each apartment's approximately 900 square feet, just over, 9.5. 1 bedrooms. Mhm.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We need a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing at 8:10.
We have no digital comments at this time, so if anyone is here and would like to speak in person, please approach.
No comments, I will close the public hearing at 8:12.
And just so for the board's information, because this request has both variances of use and variances of development standard, there will be 2 votes first for the use, and assuming that is approved, then we'll vote on the variance as a development standard. So if the use is denied, there would be no need to vote on the variance as a development standard. So the first motion would be to approve or deny the variance of use.
So do I have a motion on the use modification?
Motion to approve the variance of use.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion?
I will just say, I like the use. I think this is exactly what this area was built for, and as somebody who's newer to Westfield in the last 7 years, it's nice to see this type of use activated by a catalyst investment like Grand Junction. Activity breeds activity in this world, so if we're worried about parking, we need people to take leaps of faith like you're doing to continue to build and to continue to drive the need and the ability to invest. So thank you, and I'm excited for it.
Other comments? We have a motion and a second, so roll call vote.
And just to clarify, a yes vote would also be to include the conditions of approval in the staff
Yes.
report. Okay? Dr. Keen?
Yes.
Mr. Buller?
Yes.
Mr. Clarino?
Yes.
Mr. Plummer?
Yes.
Mr. Bunkfist?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And now we need a motion for short-term memory loss.
With that,
I said, what's our second motion now?
so this motion would be to adopt the findings of fact associated
Okay,
with
findings of
use.
fact, okay.
Yep.
So I have a motion to adopt the findings of fact.
I'll make a motion to adopt staff's finding of facts.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Dr. Keen?
Yes.
Mr. Buller?
Yes.
Mr. Clarino?
Yes.
Mr. Plummer?
Yes.
Mr. Bunkfist?
Yes.
Motion carries. And so now we would move to, that is approved, we would move to adopt, or deny, I suppose, the variances of development standard associated, so architectural, landscaping, everything, all the other requests here that are not tied to the use specifically.
Do I have a motion?
If I make the motion, do I have to read it, or can I just say all of those?
You can say, I make a motion to approve the variance of development standard with the conditions noted in the staff report.
That's exactly what you said.
Yes. Exactly what I
Is
said.
there a
I make
second?
motion to do such.
Second.
Who is second? Jake?
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Buller?
Yes.
Mr. Clarino?
Yes.
Mr. Plummer?
Yes.
Mr. Bunkfist?
Yes.
Dr. Keen?
Yes.
Motion carries. And findings of fact once again.
Okay, findings of fact. Have a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt staff's finding of facts.
Motion by Jeff, is second.
Second.
Second, Jason. Discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Buller?
Yes.
Mr. Clarino?
Yes.
Mr. Plummer?
Yes.
Mr. Bunkfist?
Yes.
And Dr. Keen?
Yes.
Motion carries. Matter is approved.
Good luck, Matt. Thank you very much. Exciting to see you, man.
Okay, we have reports, comments, Plan Commission liaison. That's me. We had a meeting last night, our first one of the year, and it really was not very exciting as it's going to become shortly. And so I really don't have anything to report at this point in time. It was cleanup work from last year, and getting to know each other, because a lot of new people there too, just like here. So with that, Community Development Department.
Yeah, really just a welcome to the new folks here. I'm glad you're part of the group. Welcome back, Mr. Bowler. And looking forward to a great year. Yeah, feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions, just procedurally, how this goes. We will be putting together some sort of training for you guys. I think that's yet to be determined on when, but we'll be putting together a little more formal, kind of do's and don'ts, pitfalls and things like that for the board to be on the lookout for. So otherwise, glad you're here. Thanks.
With that, needed a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
No roll call vote, just voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Wow.
I'm
That's
not
pretty
big,
good.
I'm not